Hi, this is Brendan Davis from Bedrock Games and the Bedrock blog, and I'm here with Adam and Joel. And today we're talking about Cloak and Dagger, a 1984 spy adventure film directed by Richard Franklin, and it stars Henry Thomas and Dabney Coleman. It's kind of a weird entry. It's very much an early '80s film about a boy who has an imaginary friend, and his imaginary friend looks exactly like his father, and he ends up getting some kind of state secret embedded on an Atari cartridge, and men are out to kill him. And that's pretty much the plot. I don't know. Do you guys want to add anything? Is there any detail that needs to be thrown in there?
Yeah, it seems about accurate. It's a weird movie. There's a lot going on. But I think that's the thrust of it.
So I guess one interesting thing that I didn't know about this, but I'm going to mention it because when we first talked about doing Cloak and Dagger, this film came up. It was originally going to be released as a double feature with The Last Starfighter, which is a movie that I do remember. And I remember it in very similar ways to Cloak and Dagger. So I can sort of see how they might have been going for, even though they're wildly different in genre, there's something similar about them, I think.
I mean, they both have like a video game being like a sort of central thing too. So
Yeah, that's true. That's true. When did Ender's Game come out, actually? Now that I'm thinking about that.
Ender's Game came out in 1984, I think.
Okay.
Actually, I
Okay.
think I'll double check that.
But yeah. So Joel, since this was your first time seeing it, what was your reaction to the movie? Aside
85.
85. Okay.
Oh, 85. Goodness, I really enjoyed this film. It definitely got my attention. The thing about it is, it's very much not a modern movie. Like it seems strange, but like you can kind of tell an era of a film whenever you're watching it. You know, like you watch like Citizen Kane. It kind of like, I mean, that was a genre defining one, but like you can sort of tell when it was put together. You know,
Yep.
same thing with like the golden age of Hollywood movies. You watch one of those, you kind of something about the language of cinema at that point is very distinctive. This one has a very distinctive kind of like visual language to it,
Yeah.
which makes it really arresting. Like I hadn't seen anything like this in a while, so it really grabbed and kept my attention just based on the strength of the visual language, which I wasn't anticipating.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned era because, I mean, I saw this as a kid in the theater, and I saw it once, and it always kind of stayed with me, but I never saw it again, and so I was kind of always intending at some point to go back just because I remembered it. But it's one of these movies from the early '80s where there were a lot of films that were still like looking back to movies from the golden age of Hollywood that you mentioned, and from like Hitchcock and things like that. And so it's like part of the cinematic language that it's invoking. You know, it's like you and people my age kind of got that stuff secondhand through movies like this before we encountered those things firsthand.
Oh yeah.
So but yeah, to me it's funny because if you were just kind of like I must have been 7 or 8 when this came out. When you watch movies from that era, then you go back and watch them again. I find that the datedness doesn't stand out as like I wasn't noticing the things that Joel was noticing because it just looked like a normal movie to me because that's what normal movies were like when I was a kid. The way maybe like a '90s movie would look to you, you know.
Well, now that I go back and watch '90s movies, they had a very particular cinematic language of their own. But to me, I think the most movie that I see is very Spielbergian. You know, like
Okay.
when you talk about Jaws and like even like stuff like Back to the Future, the way that looks, it's very much of its time and place, right? Movies don't look like that anymore, but
Yeah.
that's how all the movies that I watched when I was a little kid looked. So that was a movie to me.
Yeah.
You know, so every era's got their own way of doing it. You know.
Now, Adam, what did you think of the film? And had you seen it before?
Yeah.
By the way?
Yeah, I
Okay.
saw it as a kid too. I saw it back when it first came out, so I would have been 12 at the time. And yeah, I like you. I think I probably saw it more than once. Like I probably saw it on video too, but I only saw this a handful of times back then. And like you, it did stick with me. It's a movie I've always kind of remembered because I really enjoyed it. And it's kind of funny because it is one of those movies I remember a lot of people liking it, like other kids liking it and stuff. And then it just kind of fell off into a memory hole and kind of disappeared from conversation. But so I'm kind of glad we were reviewing this one because I kind of feel like it is is a movie that deserves more attention because, as you guys have said, it's got a good visual language. I was impressed watching it again as an adult. Like, this is a really well-made movie. It's like it's got a lot of good performances in it. The direction's tight. The action scenes are good. Everything's very, very clear. It's a really good kind of kids' first Hitchcock movie.
I feel like
it's very.
Go ahead, Joel.
Going along with that, this is a movie that doesn't hold your hand at all. Like,
No.
I thought it was going to be like, oh, this kid is going to get into some shenanigans kind of thing, like sort of Home Alone era stuff. No. This kid is legitimately in a Hitchcock movie. He is in genuine mortal peril for 90% of this film. It's so intense.
I do think I was going to mention that I think that is sort of the thing that is part of the dividing line Adam was talking about, where it's kind of a forgotten film, and I think, or like it was like at its time we all knew about it, but it kind of fell by the wayside. And I think part of that is because movies changed so much soon after this, where you still had movies that were done in this style, but to get to something like Back to the Future, where Marty's not really in peril, like he's not really, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like
you got a good point.
Yeah.
There.
And also it kind of came at the very end of the console, like the video game console craze, with not like before Nintendo, like the Atari and the Coleco and all of those things were like massively huge, but in a different way than Nintendo was, which I thought was like I think it was maybe like the video craze of the early 80s was like a family affair. Like everybody was playing video games. Do you know what I mean? And this was kind of part of that. And like you would go to the department store with your folks, and they would buy a console, and they would have games on them for the entire family. You know.
Yeah, it's interesting because this did come out right at the end of that era. Because an interesting note is that Cloak and Dagger, the actual game, was only a coin-op game, and it was meant to come out as an Atari 5200 game, but it never did because the Atari 5200 tanked. So it's like they kind of had to use. They kind of had to wire something up to kind of give the illusion of it being an Atari game. They kind of had like some wires running from a console just out of sight, and but it's but basically it's like that Atari era was basically dead by the time this movie kind of hit. I mean, there was kind of the Commodore 64 era where that was kind of the primary game machine between the Atari era and when Nintendo came along and just became huge.
Yeah, this is because for me this came out in '84, and I would have seen it before I moved to California, and I remember my and again this might be me misremembering, but what I recall is those video game consoles were huge before I moved, and then when I moved, it was like the video game console era was completely over.
I can tell you, '84. I never actually owned an Atari. I had like a Magnavox Odyssey 2 and some other stuff, but yeah, in 1984, I bought from a kid his Atari and every cartridge he owned for $20 because he didn't want it anymore. And I just got to play all the Atari games I'd never played. But yeah, that was kind of the phase Atari was in when this movie came out.
Well, we had it in Intellivision, so which was those were fun,
my
but they had their
best friend
problems.
Had Intellivision.
Yeah, they had Burger Time and things like that on them.
That
awesome.
cool like one that was like the Star Wars trench battle and the D&D game.
They had a D&D game which was fun, and they also had a Tron game that was a lot of fun. They had two Tron games actually.
Oh, I never played the Tron.
Yeah, the Tron one. One of them was fun. One of them blew. The Mazatron was awful. I remember not liking Mazatron, but the other Tron game I remember liking.
Was it like the coin-op one, or was it a different?
I don't know. I have no idea. I didn't even remember the coin-op Mazatron.
The coin-op game had a glowing blue controller. It was amazing.
That was the other. Well, so the other thing about this era is when you went into an arcade, they had stuff like that made them look so awesome. You know. But this was
it's a presentation back then. Yeah, it was good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and this was part of it. And I even remember when I went to see this, I saw it at the theater at the East India. I think I could be misremembering, but I think I saw it at the East India Mall Theater in Salem, which I know Adam has been in that area with me. And there used to be an arcade right next to the theater because but
movie theaters and arcades were a peanut butter and chocolate combination.
But yeah, I thought it was. I mean, I remember liking it as a kid and watching it around this time. It's definitely a weird movie in hindsight. Like, I can see some of the weirdness to it, but it's an interesting movie because the thing that always made it stick in my mind was that they were kind of playing this thing where it's like he's an imaginary friend, but he seems to be having effects on the real world, and so as a kid, I thought that he was real, especially in that. And we can talk about that last scene. But I remember my main memory of this movie is going home with my father in the car and having an argument with him over whether it was whether the imaginary friend was real. And my dad was like, "No, he's the whole point of the movie is he's not real by the end, and so. But go ahead.
Well, the interesting line to throw into this argument is the one where Jack Flack says when he's dying, kind of, and talks about, "Oh, your father was like that." It's like, is he some kind of weird spirit that's kind of been passing through the family, or so you can come up with a based off that line. Okay, once again, it's a line from an imaginary friend, so it doesn't mean anything, but you could play a lot with that.
I feel like that line did kind of point at something like that. Like Jack Flack made, like, he's imaginary, but maybe they're trying to present imaginary friends as being almost like guardian angels or something of that nature, but it
kind of the opposite of a guardian angel, an angel who likes to get you into trouble.
Well, he's a guardian angel who's really into skullduggery and all these things that, he is kind of like, hey, let's go do this thing
let's go do a shootout.
Really dangerous. Yeah.
Well, he's literally telling the kid to kill. Like,
yeah. No.
Also, don't worry about the traffic. Just cross the street. That's
okay. So I need to defend
guardian angel.
I need to defend Jack Black in this situation because I was
known as the son of Sam. But go on.
Well, no, because I was watching like a YouTube thing on this movie, and somebody made a case of how, like, evil he was for like getting the kid to get and how, but the thing is, the guy,
evil, no,
but he shot somebody who was about to torture and then kill him, and so if Jack Flack was just getting him to do what was necessary to survive in that situation, right? Like that.
Yeah.
So now, granted, Jack Flack also got him into those situations, so there's that. But I feel like, the kid really had no choice. But I think part of it was the kid learning to do something like that. Do you know what I mean? To protect himself.
I think most kids' movies would have contrived a way, like, the guy would, like, fall over and something would land on him and he would be dead, and it would be, the kid did nothing. Yeah. It's just kind of like the ending of the Spider-Man movie where it's like the Green Goblin just accidentally kills himself with a sled.
Yeah, convenient. In a way, this movie's very grim and gritty because it's like Joel was saying before the podcast. These guys really want to kill the kid, and they're not messing around. Like, and they kill Morris.
I mean,
go ahead.
You made a good point about the violence in this movie and how it kind of disappeared. It's like 1984, I think, was either the year or the year after that was when PG-13 came into existence, and suddenly people were being a lot more cautious about what was in movies kids were seeing. So I can kind of see this getting, not so much deliberately buried, but not put out there as much because they were like, okay, this movie's a little dark. Yeah. But I mean, once again, I don't think it was really a problem because I think kids can handle a movie like this. But I can also see why it was kind of buried a bit.
I think if you grew up with that, it seems totally normal. Do you know what I mean? It's like, to me, it just seems like, well, that's like they're presenting a real world situation where there are people who are that bad in it. But I think if you didn't grow up with it, it's probably more striking. Do you know what I mean? Because it's sort of like, it's like a rule that movies don't do that now, and so I don't know.
Oh yeah, I mean, because I grew up in the Home Alone hijinks era of violence, where it was kind of cartoonish, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, this doesn't do that. These guys are competent criminals who want to kill this kid because he's a loose end. And every time he barely manages to get out with the skin of his teeth, and it's several times, it's because they were finding a way to dispose of his body.
Yeah.
like it's so dark and grim and intense.
Well,
Like
and
I
it's
was not
scary.
Having
It's
to
very
spend
scary.
time in the trunk with his dead friend for a while too. I mean,
Can
that's
we talk about the execution of that poor man?
Oh,
They shoot
Morris.
him in the
I
back of the
know.
head. Like it's so dark.
That's the other
Yeah.
thing I remember is the bullet hole in the screen or in the glasses. I can't, that
Yep.
scene
Yeah,
that
his
really
brain
troubled me when I was a
splattering
kid.
Over it. It's like
Yeah.
Jesus.
But that was the thing. You used to go to movies like this, and there'd be scenes that made you feel like you'd get scared, and you'd feel like, oh my god, like they killed more. Like you'd get upset. You know what I mean? That was. But I think it was. I think the aim was to kind of. It's sort of like a safe environment for having those kinds of feelings. Watching something. But
Yeah, no, it's totally like because I watched some pretty inappropriate stuff when I was young too, right? And like I felt the way you feel about those things, which is unsettled, disturbed, upset, and I'm a human being, so I dealt with it. Like I feel like we've been dealing with kids with kid gloves for a while, and it's like I don't know that it necessarily like. Has the society gotten better? It's about the same as it always was. Let's be honest with ourselves here.
Well,
let the kids see a couple of bullet holes and skulls. It's good for them.
Well,
you can quote me.
Well, and the guys that they cast to be the bad guys were also very like they just have those like faces of like these guys don't look like nice people, and so it just made it that much more scary. Do you know what I mean? Like there's like one guy who's got a mustache, and I think he's always in sweatpants. He's like the bulkier of the thugs, and he just looks like he's just a dangerous person, and he's he looks like one of these actors who was probably an ex-football player or something. I don't know, but
he looks like a football player.
But yeah, no, it's definitely it definitely is like a what I see it as is like they kind of gave kids movies that were just as thrilling and exciting as they gave like adults. Do you know what I mean? So like there was real peril in the movie. Obviously it's still not going to have certain things that like an R-rated movie is going to have, but it has like the peril, and so I think that made for like a very memorable viewing since I only saw it once, but it stuck with me.
This thing arrests your attention, like because even the way the kid gets involved in this, like there's a dying scientist that hands him this cartridge, and he's like, "Get this to safety," and then a bunch of gunmen come and start shooting at him, and you're just like, immediately, I was like sitting forward to my seat, like, okay, well, I didn't think we were gonna go this hard this quick, but I'm in, movie. Let's roll.
Yeah, as far as that guy you think looks like a football player, he played for the Philadelphia Eagles, San Diego Chargers, and Houston.
Yeah, he had that look. He had that look. Yeah.
He does totally. I was like, I bet you're right. I even have a feeling of remembering he was for some reason. It looks familiar.
Now the other thing this movie has is the dead mom, which I feel like maybe it was just the Never-Ending Story, but I feel like that was a very common thing in these movies where you would have a kid who has to go on an adventure and his mom died before the movie started.
That was a thing. Yeah. Well, one parent being gone too. I mean, if we want to go with Henry Thomas's previous movie E.T., that was when the father wasn't dead, but the father was gone.
Oh yeah,
and the
yeah,
family
yeah.
was all having to deal with it too. So that was an element there as well.
Well, and I remember in the Never-Ending Story, it was like this one. Dabney Coleman's kind of got a little more empathy. He's kind of an interesting actor because he's like this guy who can be like a sort of manly guy, but he also is somebody who seems like he's going to be nice to you. Do you know what I mean? So he's not. He walks this fine line. But I remember the dad in Never-Ending Story was kind of a prick to the kid. He's like, the mom's dead. You got to get over it, son, and just like snap back to reality.
That's the thing. The thing going back and watching these movies as an adult. As a kid, I just remember him being kind of a stern father. I knew it all kind of worked out in the end, but I remember this stern guy, and it's like even from the first scene he's in this movie, I'm like totally in sympathy with the father. I'm like, man, this is a tough situation. It's you're just looking at this movie from the other side.
Well, yeah, and being a dad myself, like I was 100% behind that dad. Like him having to go to work knowing that his kid is like going through some kind of emotional crisis that he's ill-equipped to deal with. I was like, oh man, buddy, I feel you. There's a scene that like really choked me up later on when he's like at work and he gets a call, and I think like it's whenever the phone booth gets ran over
Yes.
or whatever, it disconnects, and he's like, "I've gotta go."
Yeah.
My son's in peril, and he just dashes out of there. And like I was just like,
screw this.
He's right here.
Yeah.
Bobby.
And the psychological component of the movie, where the kid, nobody believes him because they think he's crazy because he's got an imaginary friend and he's kind of disconnected from reality because of his mother's death.
Yeah.
And there's this thing going on, and he's trying to get the whole movie's trying to get his dad to believe him. The other aspect of it too is that the mom died, and the dad, isn't he in the Air Force or something? So he kind of has a job that's a little bit, I mean,
it's an intense job.
Well, if you're worried about, making your kid an orphan, I would think like,
Well, he's not in the front lines there. Like, he's in that part of the Air Force where you don't have to do push-ups.
No,
he's
but
gonna be okay.
no, but what I'm saying is the mom has died, and so the dad is in an occupation that at least has some hazard to it. I would assume. I don't know exactly what he was doing, but I would assume that there's a higher risk of something going wrong when you're in a job like that. But obviously, they need him to be in the Air Force because of the end of the movie, where they need him to pilot the, which I actually appreciate, because in a modern movie now, the dad would be able to do anything on a plane but they very specifically say no, he just can taxi the airplane. He actually isn't trained to take this kind of airplane off. So there's
Not at all.
Yeah, that added an interesting detail that made it more raised the tension. But it also made it more believable, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was really great. And when he's in the cockpit and he's looking over all the instruments and all that, and he's just like, how much can I fake here?
Yeah.
That was fun.
And I completely forgot about that scene, so I was really interested. I was like, oh, that's why he's in the Air Force, It was a nice little touch.
I forgot the ending too. Well, maybe it's possible too. He's working on the project of the invisible plane that they were stealing the plans for.
That could be it.
In San Antonio in the first place. That's why all this happened there. So
it's possible.
It's actually intelligently put together there. That's clever. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course I did want to talk about so at the end there's the plane explosion, and then the dad walks out of the flames, and watching, I don't remember how we responded to that as a kid because I don't even really remember that scene, but it was a very weird looking scene. I thought I don't quite know how to explain it. It just looked odd to me.
It didn't look particularly peculiar to me. Maybe, I don't know.
I was just thinking about the fact I was like, that's an explosion they filmed and not CGI. It actually looks like fire.
It looks really good. I was staggered that the guy just walked away from it.
That's kind of what I mean.
I'm fine.
That's what I mean. He kind of was just casually walking out. It was like he wasn't part of the explosion that was happening. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of feel what they were going for. It's like he wasn't in the explosion walking out of it so much as you've got this dark scene. Mm-hmm. There's no way you would have been able to see him get out of the plane. Okay. And it's just this moment where it blows up and you're not sure, but then you see his silhouette and it's like, oh, okay, he did get out. That's kind of the way I read it. Not so much him walking out of the flames as much as him kind of becoming visible.
Yeah, that scans. I mean, and again, looking at what the movie was trying to convey, just wanted you to feel that sense of tension one last time before the big, literally explosive climax. This is great.
I noticed.
Yeah. Now, what did you think?
I noticed they only spent a couple of seconds before they broke the tension and let you see him. Though I did remember the ending of the movie, so I was waiting for that. But I'm like, they didn't want the kids to worry too much. They just kind of went to it, which I kind of like.
What did you guys think of the? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say a lot of movies too milk that they're dead. Wait, they're not dead. They milk it too long, and I kind of felt like okay, milking it for 2 seconds, I'm good.
Yeah, that was not. They didn't make you wait to find out what happened. That they could have really gone overboard with that. What did you guys think of the old couple?
They're great. Yeah, I looked up to. They're actually married in real life too.
That's cool.
I noticed.
Oh, were they? That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah,
they've got a great chemistry together, and the fact that they come on as this almost like a salvation early in the movie. You're like, oh, these guys are trying to help him, and then it's the wonderful twist happens where it's like, oh wait, no, these are the worst people involved. They're way more dangerous. You
want to believe they're nice at the beginning too when you watch it. Even watching it a second time, they're just so you're like, oh,
yeah,
they're looking out for the kid.
Nice.
Well, and it's funny because like one of the people they're supposed to be looking out for is a person with two fingers or something, right? And
Yeah.
I didn't remember it when the old couple first showed up, but I had an uneasy feeling when they showed up, and it was because the moment when she takes off her glove, I remembered that scene, and it freaked me out as a kid. It's up there with the supercomputer scene from Superman 3. But that was like, I mean, again, I don't know, Joel, if you're familiar with that scene, but it was one of the most horrifying scenes in early 80s movies. But
I don't remember that one.
it's forgettable other than the...
Next week we review Superman 3.
Tune in next week, folks.
But they reminded me of the Castavets from Rosemary's Baby. They just had that kind of energy as a couple.
Oh, yeah.
And
which of course is perfect, because once again, it's people being nice that are really out to get you.
Far more dangerous than you would expect.
And just something about the murderous old person thing. It just was like very... I don't quite know how to put it. Just how practiced their wickedness is, you know?
But I just want to highlight again, too, just how perfect... We already talked about, like, the villains in this, just how perfect all the casting is in this, as far as just little touches like that. It's...
Yeah,
because
you had to get somebody who was believable as a kindly old person, but was also believable as an old person who would murder you and kind of just grumpily want to go on their day. Do you know what I mean? Like they're just...
Exactly. We're going to miss our dinner plans.
Yeah.
Because of you, kid.
Yeah, because they just want to get to France or something, right? Like they're just trying to get on to...
Yeah.
This is their business. They've been doing this for a while, so it's kind of just casual to them. And there's something so chilling about that.
Yeah, they were creepy. They were definitely creepy. And it's funny too because they really become the big villains by the end of the movie. It's not really these thugs and the the agent that he ends up gunning down. It's the old couple.
And I like that the youth of the thugs kind of is their undoing. They're cocky and they're sloppy, and then you get the old couple. They're so calculating and casual about it. You guys really nailed it. It's amazing that the older couple would be the more dangerous ones, but they really are, because like it's a spy game, and in the spy game you got to be patient, and you've got to have a plan, and you got to be flexible, keep a cool head, and they do all that, and as a result they're just so bloody dangerous.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's not the kind of kids movie where they make the villains cartoonishly stupid the whole way through to make the kids safe. It's like, no, they're really frightening and dangerous, and he just has to survive it.
Yeah, he gets through. Hell, his showdown with the thugs in the end, like before he gets to the old couple showdown, is pretty brutal.
And Joel, you might want to lean forward for this next segment because your mic will pick it up more. But I know you wanted to talk about the Drop Dead Fred connection that you felt was present in this movie.
Okay, so I'm a big fan of Drop Dead Fred. That's one of the films I grew up with, right? And it's not the best movie, but it's like a comfort movie for me, right? I've got a couple of those. But I was noticing while I was watching this film that it shares some shockingly specific similarities, right? It's like the main character that no one will believe. There's a persistent imaginary friend that has a kind of tenuous effect on the real world, where it's kind of unclear what the kid's doing and what the imaginary friend's doing, and where that line is blurred. And then in both cases, the imaginary friend is played by the father of the person imagining them. Like, there's only like one scene in Drop Dead Fred where you actually see her dad's face, but it's the same actor that plays Drop Dead Fred, just as like in a business suit. He's just like, I'm leaving, Martha, or whatever. It was strange how much they had in common, and I wasn't thinking about it at first. Like, this movie it's about not very Drop Dead Freddy. It's a different genre.
Yeah, I mean, that movie's just... I saw that a long time ago, and I remember it being a very funny movie, and it's got the guy who played Lord Flashheart in it from The Young Ones.
Yeah.
I mean, he's from Flashheart from Blackadder, but he was in The Young Ones as well. And Phoebe Cates is in it. And Carrie Fisher is in it, too, I just noticed.
Really?
Yeah.
Carrie Fisher, it's another conversation.
Yeah. But yeah, no, totally different. But I can sort of see
Carrie Fisher is in it. Holy smokes!
Yeah,
you're right. She's okay. All right. No, I had a little mental image. I was like running through the movie in my head, and I'm like, where the hell was Carrie? Oh wait, she was in it. It's like I didn't realize that was Carrie Fisher. All right, moving on. Sorry. But yeah, it's weird how much DNA these have in common. Surprised. I think it was I don't know. I think we mentioned the scene where, like, later on in that battle with the thugs, he kind of overcomes his need for an imaginary friend. Like, they sort of diverge about what they should do next.
Mm-hmm.
And he has this weird speech where he's talking about, like, your father was like that too. And then he just sort of vanishes for the rest of the film. And you're like, what do you mean what are you talking about, man? What just happened in this movie? It's a strange moment, and I don't know if it's like one of those like artifacts from an earlier draft, or if they were trying to hint at some imaginary friend expanded universe. But it's as weird to me as the one scene in Drop Dead Fred where they go into the psychiatrist office, and there's a bunch of kids there who also have imaginary friends who Fred can see, but who our main character can't. And so all the kids can see their own friend, and they can see each other. And it's like, wait. Are these in the heads of these people, or are they real in some weirder, deeper way? Like, the movie never really answers that question. It brings it up, it shows us this, and then we never really touch on it again. What does that mean?
It's interesting because I'm looking up. It looks like Drop Dead Fred has become a cult film, even though it wasn't received. Because I remember it didn't get. I remember liking it because I was young enough. I don't remember how old I was, but I was probably 13 or 14, maybe. When it came out.
Yeah, I never saw it at the time. Passed me by.
But yeah, so it has become a cult film though. But yeah,
I think people talk about it nowadays. But like, yeah, it's definitely a cult movie at best. But like, I just happen to love it. It's a very unique movie, and unlike Monkey Bone, which is kind of a soft reboot sequel thing to it, I mean, they definitely share a lot in common. It has a cohesion to it that makes it kind of a good cult movie. I always felt like Monkey Bone was like trying to force itself into cult status. And, no, not really. I'm going a little off topic here.
No, that's all right.
But
that's all right.
It's related.
Monkey Bone's just sloppy. It doesn't like. It almost felt eerie hearing him utter this phrase where, "Oh, your dad was like this. He had similar needs." Like, what a weird thing for someone I invented to say in my own mind, right?
Yeah,
that's peculiar.
It's very odd, and it I don't know. It really makes me wonder what they were trying to do with that. Also, the guy. I mean, again, there might be some chicanery here where it's the kid signaling and looking in that direction that makes the guy shoot at the wall. But it really looks like the guy, for a brief moment,
saw something.
Yeah.
It does feel like that too. I agree. It just feels like it's more than.
Maybe I need to resurrect this argument with my dad and come out victorious because now that I've seen it again, I feel like I might have actually had a point when I was
there's something there. It is a very interesting scene.
But
yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. Go ahead, Joel. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, there's so much happening in this scene. The kid bodies that guy. Like,
yeah.
His body count goes up pretty high in that scene,
But it's also well, you go ahead. Sorry.
It's like it's a scene that like in a slightly different version of this movie would have been the moment he became a serial killer. You know what I mean? Like, it's so intense, right? This is like a villain origin moment.
Yeah, but the guy's trying to kill him. The guy's trying to kill him and torture him.
I'm not saying that it wasn't justified. I'm just saying that if this was the origin of a villain in a Batman book, it wouldn't have been changed any. It would have been this exact same thing. Where are you, Jack Flack? Batman's trying to stop me from shooting this guy. Right? Like,
I think that says more about comic books than it says about Jack Flack, though. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's
gotta hide the body.
The guy is walking up to him and telling him all the things he's going to do to it, like all of these horrible tortures he's going to do.
How much of that was real, and how much of that was his?
That was real.
Mind?
That was real. That guy wanted the Atari cartridge that had the stealth plane plans on it, and he didn't want any sense.
The audience is all giving you the eye right now.
Huh?
They haven't seen this movie. They're like, oh yeah, the guy wanted to murder him for an Atari cartridge. That sounds reasonable.
And we see by the end of the movie the kid's not crazy. So there you go.
Well, there you go. Jack Flack is real, and murder is okay. You heard it here first, folks.
No, it's not that murder's okay. It's that he's defending himself. It's a different situation.
We could do the fan theory thing where we pretend the whole movie was hallucinatory. The guy was actually just working for a video store, and he was trying to get the rented cartridge back, and then he gets murdered for nothing. That's what really happened.
Why do they always make them like, oh, it was all a dream? What if it was hyper real? What if we're the dream? How do you like
90%
that?
90% of fan theories are the movie meant nothing.
99%, yeah, are either the movie meant nothing or it was all a dream, or it's like, it's a movie. Of course it's a dream, idiot. This isn't a documentary. This did not happen. I'm just going to emphasize the wrong syllable each time.
I like movies where you can sort of see it as being a, like a hallucination or something like that. I think that's fine. But,
no, I mean, it can be fine. It's just the way fan theories tend to go for that and try and apply it to every
You have
movie.
to. Here's the problem with fan theories. Fan theories are fine as a fun exercise. Where they become annoying is when people assert them as if they're the reality of the movie.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I do like the fact this movie has the ambiguity of, is there any reality to Jack Flack?
Yeah.
But the fact it remains ambiguity is what makes it really
I agree with you. We
could come up with our theories either way, but they are, as you say, they are theories. If I were to go, no, Jack Flack Flack is real, man. Yeah. Why won't you agree with me? Then it becomes sad.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Recast this movie and do it again. It should be Jack Black as Jack Flack. That would be amazing.
No.
We should do a little song about how he's a spy. He's a fat spy.
What the
kids would love that.
They probably would, to be honest.
Hell, I would love that.
I like Jack Black, but not in everything.
I'm cool with them being in everything. I sort of feel like you could have Jack Black doing an Eddie Murphy thing where he was like 4 or 5 roles, and you could redo Casablanca, and I'd probably still go see it in theaters.
Oh yeah, and I think I might have called. I think I've been calling him Jack Black for a lot of this podcast too, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack Flack is his name. If I to correct myself, if I have been doing that.
Yeah, I've intentionally been alternating so I can do a drinking game with myself later. If I recognize myself saying Black, I take a shot.
I was trying so hard to not call him Jumping Jack Flash that it was like I think I banked too hard. But yeah, so I don't know. But it would be interesting to certainly cover Last Starfighter at some point. But I don't know. I don't know if I can do that one or not. We'll see.
I haven't seen that since the early '80s. I liked it okay. It wasn't one I liked the concept of it more than I liked the actual movie as a kid. I think contrasting those movies. One thing I find interesting about this is that this was a time of lots of movies trying to cash in on the video game craze and the role-playing craze and all of that. What's that?
None of them quite got it right.
No, but I think this got it more right than most of them to some extent.
I agree.
Once again, it's not totally right, but it feels very close and a lot. Like I like Morris's store. Those stores where it's selling role-playing games, it's selling computer games, because none of those are their own thing yet. It's like you would go into a hobby store and they'd be like, there's Traveler, and then there's D&D, and then there's a bunch of random, Sierra Online games, and it's
there was a lot of
it felt pretty authentic.
And you could buy consoles and like department stores had their own section in where they would have the video games, and it was always like a dark sort of sectioned off area, and it was like very you associated that with the fun of video games. Do you know what I mean? So
and there were no chain video game stores or anything yet. There was no there weren't even really big computer chains. You just go to these little places to buy your computers from a guy like Morris, unless you were getting
that guy was so true to life. When you were, and that still was around whenever I was young too, you would have that exact archetype of human being who just was surrounded by computers and role-playing games and like little pewter miniatures sometimes, and they'd just be the spider in the middle of that web, and I love them. They were my favorite people growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But I the other one would be Tron too, right? Tron tried to do the video game.
Tron.
Thing.
Yeah, Tron did.
And I think there were a couple of others too, weren't there? I feel like there was a few more.
I'm sure there were.
Yeah, Tron had a lot of interesting things. It's just a boring movie to watch is really the problem.
Yeah,
It's badly
man,
directed, I think.
It's
I
a
tried
weird
so
movie.
hard
It's a weird
Tron.
movie. Let's not.
The best way to enjoy Tron is just put on some like good electronic type soundtrack and just like watch Tron with the sound off. And
Listen to the
it's
Daft
I
Punk
actually.
and
Tron
it's just
soundtrack.
well, yeah, I haven't done it since the Daft Punk soundtrack existed, but I used to put on various soundtracks and just have that running in the background. And that was enjoyable, but
Put on
actually trying to watch it.
I actually
listen to
liked
that,
it as a
watch some
kid,
Tron.
but part of it was because that was one of about 5 movies we owned on VHS, and so you just watched. If you owned 5 movies, you watched
Yeah.
those 5 movies again and again and again.
Yeah.
And I remember also Jeff Bridges does carry it pretty well, like for a week. Because
Yeah,
you're right, the
he's good
directing
in
is
it.
kind of bad. It's the flow of the movie is very weird, and
Yeah.
Way weird.
you can get lost in it. So if you can get lost in the flow, it's fine, but it's not like a normal movie where I don't know, it just feels kind of weird. And I think
I love the visuals of it too. I mean, like the sequel they made, the visuals aren't right. There's something
Yeah.
like almost silent movie-ish to the original.
Yeah.
That gets totally lost. And like the new one that's coming out now, I saw the trailer for the next Tron movie, and it's like, no, you're not getting what was cool about the look of Tron. You're totally. It's like, ooh, now we can really do it full CGI. It's like that.
it kind of
just
needs
doesn't
to
look as
be
good
that
as what they did.
rotoscope that's anchored in reality. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? Like that's
Yes.
kind of. I assume rotoscope. I don't know if that's what they did, but I always assumed something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, because it's like it was like black and white, and then they colored it in with like these neon bright, and
Yeah.
that look was very effective for whatever reason. I don't know why, but you're
Yeah,
right. There was a
it
silent
looks-
era kind of vibe.
I remember when it first came out on DVD, I was like at the Virgin Megastore in Chicago, and they have big TV screens, and they were showing it on there, and I hadn't seen Tron in years, and I was just like, I was just looking at it going, man, that looks so good. I'm so tempted to buy it, but I know this movie sucks, so I'm gonna resist.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on in the background here in a minute and play some like I don't know, Dark Side of the Moon or something with it.
Yeah.
I bet it syncs up. Pink Floyd syncs up with the weirdest stuff.
It does.
but
Like
yeah,
one time I watched The Wall. Do you guys know you could play the album The Wall right alongside The Wall, and it actually syncs up pretty well.
I would think
That's
it would
kind of crazy.
get weird at points.
I
wouldn't
know,
it?
right?
I mean,
You'd think that, but it surprisingly lines up with the lyrics a lot of times.
okay, well, I have a feeling that some of that is just people making connections to whatever Pink Floyd happens to be saying in that moment. That, like the Wizard of Oz thing, but yeah, I don't know. The Wall, I actually bought The Wall because I hadn't seen it in ages, and I was like, oh, I'm going to try to get my wife to watch it. She won't watch it, so it's just sitting on the counter, not being viewed.
She couldn't get into it, or she just won't watch it at all.
She I don't think she even really knows what the concept of it is, and when I explained it to her, I didn't do a very good job. I tried to get her to watch Spinal Tap, and that also didn't.
No. My girlfriend also dislikes stuff like Spinal Tap. I made her watch A Mighty Wind, which is by the same guys who did Spinal Tap and all that. And she was just like, I understand what's going on, but I hate this. And I'm like, you know what? That's fair. That's totally fair. I'm going to keep watching it, though. So she just sort of went in the other room for a while. Hey, you know what? I still need to watch Waiting for Guffman. I own it, and I haven't watched it yet. And I'm like,
I haven't seen that one either, actually. I said that was the first one, I think, wasn't it? That passed me by too.
Waiting for Guffman's one of those things where I'm enamored with it conceptually, and then in actuality, I'm like, I'll do something else, though. I don't really want to watch.
Yeah,
that
I have a
right
few of
now.
those movies.
There's just so many bad movies about people putting on a play that are, it's hilarious the way this play feels. Like, I just have an aversion to that genre. It's like, that probably is a good version of it, but that concept is usually terrible.
So anyways, we should probably end it here. And I guess we'll be back on. I don't know what we're going to do next, but we'll be back on. And until next time, we will talk to you later.